This is a kickoff return of 100 yards. One of the few highlights for the Redskins in their 27-10 loss. At number 5, Giants and Eagles. Eli Manning just throws it up. Jump ball, and Plexico Burress is going to win that battle every time. In the end zone, in overtime, the Giants win. At number 4, the Browns and Bengals. Carson Palmer finds a leaping Chad Johnson in the end zone, and Johnson checks in with the chicken dance. Number 3, Lions and Bears. Rex Grossman finds Bernard Berrien diving in the end zone for the catch. Berrien, the fingertip grab, he hangs on. This is like my own prime time. How great is this? Number 2, Buffalo and Miami. Dante Culpepper to Chris Chambers in the end zone. Chambers sells out for the touchdown. And number 1, Patriots and Jets. Pennington to Jericho Cotchery. Watch how hard Cotchery is belted. I dare say he was jacked up. I should get my own jacked up segment. And Cotchery gets up and takes it all the way to the end zone for the touchdown. It comes in a loss, but that is our top play from week 2 in the NFL. All right, I'm out of gas, fellas.
Have you met Sean Salisbury? Dashing former quarterback for USC, the CFL, NFL, now ESPN.
Covered them all, babe.
A lot of stuff going. Now, we'll get into this deeper in a moment. Give me the quick answer. Better Giants win, worse Phillies loss?
Better Giants win because the schedule's tougher.
All right, we'll see how it went down. Giants down 17 entering the final period. They make up the deficit, force the game into overtime, and then Eli Manning sends them home unhappy with the TD pass to Plexico Burress. 30-24, New York a winner. And Andy Reid, well, certainly this man's had better Sundays.
We did some things that we need to work on and that we can learn from. So you're going to have tough losses in the National Football League. It's very important that you learn from them and that you move on. And that starts with the head coach and works its way all the way through our football team.
Eli Manning played pretty well through 3 quarters yesterday, but the final period, overtime, that's just legendary Elway-like stuff. 20 of 26, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns, 8 of 8 in the extra session. Accomplished something his father Archie never did, or his brother Peyton has yet to do, through a game-winning touchdown pass in OT. Well, you know, that certainly will make your coach look brilliant.
And of course, the jubilation of you know, having that win under those circumstances in Philadelphia, coming into that locker room, seeing all those faces, that can be, you know, an extremely positive thing, provided you understand that being humble in victory means you got to analyze all of these things, look at the areas that have to be improved, and we've got a lot of them, and then improve them. Go from there. You know, provide yourself with an opportunity to get better.
All right, Sean, let's examine the fallout here. Eagles a gack, and they lose Javon Curse. The Giants staring at a certain 0-2 start, and they walk out 1-1. Play both sides of this for me.
Well, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you start with them. First of all, you have a chance to win this game and put it away and take a commanding lead in the East, yes, early in the season. You didn't run the football. The thing that I'm concerned about the Philadelphia Eagles is their inability to close a game out. When you got to knock somebody in the mouth, yes, McNabb's your hero and he can throw the football and put up yards, but you got to be able to close it out and have that 4 or 6 minute drill where you can stop a football team and you can push them back into the locker room. On the other side, the New York Giants looking for their leader. They thought they had it, and they found it with Eli Manning making those plays, standing in there, taking 8 sacks, but proving his mental toughness.
All right, no miracle comeback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that's for sure. They get housed for the 2nd straight weekend. Atlanta takes the Bucs down 14-3. A lot of it's going to fall at the feet of the young starting quarterback, Chris Sims, 28 of 53, 313 yards, 3 picks. That's not good. Good news for Sims, though, his coach isn't warming up Major Applewhite for relief duty. He's going to stick with him.
I'm just going to try to pump them back up with confidence and let them know that you got to learn from these things, and we got to learn quick. But he's got some really good open looks. We all see that. Everybody sees that. And we just missed some throws yesterday that could have turned the game around, and certainly gotten some momentum on our football team. But I'm going to stay with them. You know, I'm going to do the best I can to coach them better, and I'm happy to take responsibility for the results.
Bucs celebrating the 30th anniversary of their 0-14 season, a style that would certainly please John McKay. 23 possessions this year, 8 have resulted in 3 downs and a punt, 6 have ended up in turnovers, a lot of them with Chris Sims interceptions. Two have ended in missed field goals. 21 yards per possession is the average. 3 points so far this season, which is actually a little better than the expansion Bucks of 76, who were shut out in their first 2 games. Well, high hopes for the Bucks coming in. Bad start. If anybody can probably empathize with quarterback play, young guy, that's you. Big expectations, big pressure. What do you make of the Bucks situation?
You know what? I'm not going to just point the finger at Chris Sims. Now, he's got to be more accurate. The ball's got to come out quicker, and he's got to quit having rabbit ears and worrying about the things that are going on around him. But when you look at this, there's got to be a whole bunch of fingers pointed in that locker room. They gave up 300-plus yards rushing. This is supposed to be a dominant defense. They're not blocking, they're not tackling, they're not stopping anybody, and they're not scoring. That's a bad combo. This football team is far worse than we thought it was. But when they don't defend the run and they can't score on the other side, and they better get the running game going, or Chris Sims is going to be a long season.
And part of that flip-flop now in the South. 11 teams, 2-0 starts, 11 teams opening the other way, 0-2. Give me the winless team that has the most hope to dig out of this early pit and maybe see the playoffs.
I think it's Carolina, John, and maybe that's selfish because I picked them to go to the playoffs and get towards the Super Bowl, but I think their defense can be dominant, although they didn't show it the first 2 weeks. But Steve Smith back. Now, when he gets back, this is a football team that looks lost without him, but he will come back, he will get out there, and you'll see a tremendous change from Jake Delhomme. Steve Smith is your playmaker, but they also have to get a better run. It's amazing there's a common theme. You got to run the ball better, and Deshaun Foster has not done that. I think Carolina still finds a way to get this done and make it to the playoffs.
And on the other side, give us the team that's got the perfect start and yet maybe has some imperfections that'll keep it out of the postseason.
Well, you know what? It's the New Orleans Saints. This is a bad schedule, or an easy schedule for them, but one of those that you look at and say they should have won these first 2. Exciting offense. This may be a B-team defense right now, although they've come out and done a pretty good job early on, but they're going to face a tougher part of their schedule, and good luck. I know it's going to be a great return to the Superdome, but you've got to deal with Michael Vick and Warwick Dunn and the running game that's almost got 600 yards. While I love the excitement on offense and I love what Breeze brings, I don't think their defense right now is good enough to match up against explosive offenses, although they're giving it one heck of an effort right now.
Saints will get a stern test in week 3, the punishing Falcons, who you said 300 yards rushing there. And as you touched on, first game in New Orleans since the hurricane. That's the big Monday Night Football game matchup next week on ESPN, so the Saints will have a whole city, probably a great deal of the country pulling for them in that 1 week from tonight.
I'm excited for that.
Sean Salisbury, we cut you loose to NFL primetime. You got some plays left for the guys at primetime?
I got about an hour's worth of them.
That's coming up immediately after Sports Center.
Thanks,
Leaves,
Johnny.
it's you, brother.
All right, Steelers up.
Hey, Maria.
Hey, Stu, what's up?
A supplier gave me these, and I figured, you know, if anybody could use them, you could, right?
Yeah, so giant worms can spring into my face. Nice try.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Come on, Maria. I was just trying to be thoughtful. You know what? Forget it. Whatever.
I'm so sorry, Stu.
Yeah, I mean...
I just thought... You're evil.
Can I get that can back?
Happening in an emotionally charged college-like atmosphere. Back to that emotions
Because
again.
it feels like an SEC championship game in here. These are still the fans here right now. Fans who saw Reggie Bush touch the ball 17 times tonight for 72 yards. We mentioned Sean Payton. Think about what this Atlanta Falcons team had done. Last week, they set a franchise record with 306 rushing yards. Their rushing yards tonight, 117 yards. TJ, how did they didn't just slow Atlanta down. How did they shut Atlanta's running game down?
I think first and foremost, they were sound fundamentally in their tackling, as I have seen. And I think they had a good plan in terms of keeping them inside, not letting them get off the edge. They controlled Warwick Dunn on the interior. They did a lot of things very, very well. And what the Falcons will find, until you are successful throwing that football downfield, you're going to find people clogging the line of scrimmage, 8 guys, 9 guys challenging you to throw the ball downfield.
Statistics, I think, Tommy, they came into a Monday night showcase. They had run the ball so well. I think they came in to showcase Michael Vick and say, look, we're going to throw the football. And you could see it was deep into the second quarter before they started saying, oh, okay, that's not working real well today. Let's go back to try to run the football. And then I think it was just too late.
Yes.
Sean Payton, the 14th head coach in New Orleans Saints history. He's the first to ever start 3-0. What was the best thing that he did tonight?
Let me tell you what. Now, I tell you what, it's because the way he used Reggie Bush. I said earlier that I wondered how Sean Payton will use Reggie Bush, because I usually think you are what you eat, and you've been eating Bill Parcells all of these years, and Bill Parcells is a straight-ahead type guy. But Sean did a great job maneuvering Reggie Bush around, which maneuvered Atlanta's defense. You have to give him credit for being so creative with this offensive football team.
tonight. That's the biggest thing.
I'm telling you, you got to leave this building excited for what you saw, how John Hanley, like you just said. But again, you got triplets, Drew Brees, you've got Deuce McAllister, Reggie Bush, and Joe. You got quadruplets. And I'm telling you that there's something fundamentally happen here with the stability of the franchise. Coach, quarterback, back, scat back, receiver. There's something here that you're going to go week to week. They can take this show on the road and win some football games, and the Saints can't have said that for a long time.
You know, Steve has alerted you as well to the fact that pay attention to the football team. Pay attention to who they are. Reggie Bush, the great use by Sean Payton. Pay attention to Colston as well. These offside receivers who come along to complement the guy who's the primary on the other side, Joe Warren. This kid, 6'5", 6'5.5", great set of hands, strong, powerful downfield. I think you're right, Steve. They got outstanding weapons. If they play solid defense, they might surprise this entire division.
And it wouldn't hurt if they can bottle up some of this emotion and take it on the road when they go play.
I said emotion. I said emotion.
Hey, Reverend, I believe.
Everything on paper really said Falcons. Michael Vick, coming into this game, had been 5-0 as a starter against New Orleans, but you don't play football on paper. The fans are still here tonight in the Superdome. They believe. Who do that voodoo? Hey, the entire day has been one long emotion-filled experience. From the time that the Superdome reopened and the first 150 people in were the first 150 first responders, the EMS officials, the police officers who came in when Hurricane Katrina hit. U2, Green Day, Bono singing together on stage. Saints taking the field. If you didn't have goosebumps on your arms in this Superdome here tonight, you didn't have a pulse. And after the game, love from both sides.
Still, America believes tonight. What a great night in New Orleans. More from the Big Easy later on, and much more NFL news on the way here on SportsCenter. How long will the MVP be hurt? We'll have that answer coming up. Jeremy Shockey speaks out after the loss in Seattle. The response today, plus how soon till Matt Leinart. Yeah, that's right. Matt Leinart will be back on the field and starting for the Cardinals. Plus, baseball's pennant race is coming up. Wiener dog or lemon involved, but Sean Alexander has fallen out of the Seahawks lineup indefinitely with a broken left foot. The NFL MVP sustained the injury Sunday, but it's an extension of the bone bruise that kept him out of practice last week.
Sean Alexander has a small crack in his foot, in that bone bruise. They scanned it. He will be non-bearing. You know, he's on crutches today, and we're kind of looking at least a couple weeks. So the actual length of time for his rehab, we can't even determine at this point. I don't think it'll be real lengthy, but it is what it is. And so now he just has to stay off of it and let it heal up.
Well, Sean Alexander was warned that trouble lurked this season, the apparent Madden video game cover curse, and it has struck, apparently. A lot of folks would tell you LaDainian Tomlinson is the best running back in the NFL, but if you look at the numbers, Alexander's got a pretty good case. A lot of firsts on that list.
Here is the apparent curse that Matt speaks of. Madden video game cover curse. Donovan McNabb on the cover last season, his toughest as a pro. A year earlier, Ray Lewis on the cover had a Pro Bowl season, broke his wrist in the final game. Ravens failed to make the playoffs. Michael Vick made the Madden 2004 cover, then he broke his leg in the preseason, missed the first 11 games of the 2003 season. The curse continued. Marshall Faulk, Dante Culpepper both suffered through injury-riddled seasons in their cover years. Eddie George had a career year when he was on the first Madden cover, then had his worst year as a Titan. Rushing average headed south. New Orleans Saints 3-0. We're going to break down exactly how New Orleans shut down Michael Vick and the Falcons. The keys to a Monday night victory at the Superdome. Plus, is Matt Leinart about to pull the pigskin away from two-time MVP Kurt Warner? Chris Mortensen believes the USC star takes over this Sunday.
We got outplayed and outcoached. Write that one down. They're the coaches. They get paid money. They call the plays. They come up with the plays. You know, whether they come up with them themselves, or they take them from another team. You know, they wouldn't do their plays. Personally, myself, I want to help this team win as much as possible, and it's hard and frustrating when I'm in, you know, halftime blocking, and but what can you do?
Well, the write it down part probably isn't necessary when speaking to a group of reporters. Nonetheless, Jeremy Shockey made headlines with his post-route rant in Seattle, which necessitated a heart-to-heart with Tom Coughlin today to discuss the criticism the tight end attributed to his emotional state. Today, the coach stated his perspective.
What I said was not a team thing to say. I do let my emotions get to me at times, and that's just the competitor nature of me. I don't like to lose. I don't like to lose anything. And the way we played as a team is not, you know, this team and not this organization.
There's nothing to be gained by pointing the finger, all right? If you're truly a team and you're in it together, that's what you win and lose together, okay? We don't make a point of pointing the finger at anyone. When we lose, I lose. I take the responsibility for the loss. That's my job. Everything else is just, should be, if there is something that needs to be said, my door's always open. Come on in, sit down and talk to me. I'll be glad to talk to you about it.
But for the second straight week, the Giants had serious issues before halftime. And although he may be complaining, Shockey's been part of that problem. Just one first-half catch the last 2 weeks, fellas.
Back with Sean Salisbury. Jeremy spoke, and Daddy did give attention. Your take on their give and take?
Well, first of all, Coughlin has to manage a lot of whiners in this. He does in the organization, a lot of players. But you know what? When you look at it, I don't believe in ever airing your dirty laundry from player to coach, coach to player. Keep it in-house. But Tom Coughlin, the head coach, said, you know, we had a good game plan going in, but we didn't execute it. So all you get is Shockey responding and saying, you know what? We didn't execute, and we got out-coached also. It's been said before. I start to wonder now. Now, I do believe you know how to respect authority, but I start to wonder if respect, forget the fact of whether they like him or not, but the respect that goes from player to coach and coach to player or staff, because you think about it now, Tiki Barber, Michael Strahan, Plexico Burress, and now Jeremy Shockey, something's not right. So you start to wonder, it becomes a trend. If they don't start winning, you're going to hear the whispers in that situation, because if you got to win if you're going to coach it like that, but the player still needs to shut his mouth and go play.
All right, Seattle's Sean Alexander breaks his foot in that game. MVP, huge loss, but you don't think it's it?
Well, you know what? I think they're going to be okay, Neil. I do. The way Matt Hasselbeck's playing, and I think Mike Holmgren's as good a game planner and X's and O's guy, they're head coaches we have in the business. And we're sitting here saying it. You saw Matt talk about first, all the things that Sean Alexander brings to the table. But they have not run the ball effectively the first 3 weeks. Oh, you people who thought that losing Steve Hutchinson wasn't going to be a big deal, their left guard. But I believe that the short passing game, adding Deion Branch, a healthy Darrell Jackson, what they're doing with Nate Burleson and the tight end, I believe this team can continue on and wait till he gets back. I don't think they're going to miss a beat. I think they're the NFC's best team with or without him right now.
All right, Denny Green not talking personnel on Monday, but our Chris Mortensen is. He's reporting Warner out, Leinart in. Your thoughts?
Had to be done. Said it on TV yesterday, and I'm glad Mort's saying it. Had to be done. If I was the quarterback coach, I'd have yanked his rear end out of there and put Matt Leinart in yesterday. Kurt Warner's fumbled 8 times this year. He threw some miserable interceptions, put his team in a bind, some inexcusable mistakes. Love Kurt Warner, nothing personal. Bottom line is Matt Leinart's going to give him a better chance to win. You can't keep putting your team in a bind. This job had to be given to Matt Leinart. He'll take it over. Kurt Warner's days as a starting quarterback in Arizona are adios. It's time to go over there, teach Matt Leinart, and recognize that it's been passed. The buck is now Matt Leinart's. It had to be done because that football team offensively played terrible yesterday, and Kurt Warner was responsible for the way they performed.
Sean Salisbury, nobody breaks the huddle better.
All right, guys, and what's Sean's beef with whiners anyway? Back to New Orleans, more from an emotional night and on the game and what it meant to the city. Straight ahead, a huge game in Philly. Houston making a run at the NL Central, while the Phils could lose their wild card lead. And those NL Central leading Cardinals hosting the Padres. See which team added to its slim lead.
Proud of. I think we knew coming in that it was going to be a game of emotion, and the night's special. We'll always have this night. This team, the staff, this organization, these people in that locker room will always have this night. And this night belongs to the city. There's a lot of work to be done still, but this night belongs to the people of New Orleans. They deserve something.
I was feeling that emotion. That's where my tears came from. The kids that were smiling that could have been standing in this dome during the hurricane. That's what it's all about. They came here and they watched their football team play, and they didn't have to come. Whether we won that game or not, I think the fans would have still been happy. But for us as players, we wanted to win to put the icing on the cake.
It's really a must-win mentality because we said the only way this night's going to be special is if we win this game. You know, that's what the fans deserve. That's what this whole city, community, region deserves, and you know that's what we deserve as a team. So we owed it to everybody to get it done.
The Saints defense really clamping down on opposing running backs en route to that 3-0 start. Warwick Dunn, just 44 yards, 13 carries. Amon Green, 42 yards last week. Reuben Drones, just 27 back in the season opener. So you might have to pass against these guys. Another group of guys at the best seat in the Saints house. Back to the Superdome, the Stuart Scott Company.
Welcome back to SportsCenter's coverage of Monday Night Football. 45 minutes after the Saints beat down the Falcons, whole lot of fans still in the Superdome celebrating the win and celebrating maybe a little bit of a rebirth. It was 392 days ago that Hurricane Katrina came in and just ravaged.
More, and today in Baltimore, a what you got kind of game between the Chargers and the Ravens, a couple of unbeaten teams. Not coincidentally, number 1 and number 2 in total defense.
A little macho on the line, huh, Matt?
A little bit. Ray Lewis, the standard for NFL linebacker. Sean Merriman trying to exceed that standard. No score in first possession for the Chargers. Phillip Rivers to Malcolm Floyd, 31 yards. Rivers, 13 of 22, 145 yards. Chargers up.
Nice job of Phillip Rivers recognizing that the corner falls down. Here's McNair coming back.
Steve McNair had a couple of picks in this game, but down the stretch, you know he's going to do his thing. 12 yards here as he keeps it then. McNair to Mark Clayton.
Buying time. Take a look. Clayton coming back. Got beyond the stripes and then came back, got the ball, caught it with his hands, got it inside their red zone.
Red zone now. A couple plays later, and the Chargers in a heap of trouble. Todd Heap from McNair for the 10-yard touchdown. The Ravens pull it out 16-13. After racking up 16 sacks through 3 games, the Ravens got to Phillip Rivers just once, but it was the final play of the game. Otherwise, about what you'd expect. A lot of D, no 200-yard passer, no 100-yard rusher. Tomlinson finished with 98 yards, but it took him 27 carries to get there. And the Ravens are now 4-0.
The crowd was huge. We talk about how the crowd can have a tangible effect on a game, and that sounds awful cliche. But at the end of the game, the miscommunication, the jumping off sides, them being pushed back up, being able to hear the signals, it tangibly affected the game.
Bottom line is we didn't finish the game. And we strung it out. We were in the lead the whole game and just didn't finish it. And championship teams finish those kind of games. And that's what we want to be, and that's what we say we are, and that's what we're going to have to do.
You know, we turn it up when the pressure's on, but that's the mark of a champion.
I'll tell you what, I've been doing this a long time. That's one of the best football teams that I've seen. They are a good football team.
High praise from Marty Schottenheimer.
Yeah.
You heard Brian Billick talk about the home field advantage. They've won 6 in a row on their home field. That's one of those intangible things in a game.
When you're playing well, the fans always get into it.
Well, sure, but equally matched teams, it can make a little bit of a difference.
No question.
What else was the difference here?
Well, I think it's Steve McNair. And you heard Phillip Rivers talk about championship teams know how to close and finish. And they didn't finish on one side. And this is exactly why the Baltimore Ravens brought Steve McNair into the fold, because he's able to finish when it matters. He did not play a great game. Threw the ball to the other team a couple times, but was able to run with the ball, hit the tight end, hit his receivers. He came through a couple times, getting knocked in the mouth and delivering the football. When you do that, when the game's on the line, that's one of those things that the defense constantly now believes in the offense, and Steve McNair believes in the defense. When you got that combination, makes for a good one. This is a hard-fought game, but Steve McNair came up, and in the past, they wouldn't have been able to close that game out without McNair.
That Raven defense is always the backup plan because they turn it over 3 times. Yep. They still win the game 4-0, and they'll go to Denver for the Monday night game next week. The Colts making their second trip to Giant Stadium this season. They won by 5 in week 1. Eric Mangini took some risky moves in this game, an onside kick that worked, and then in a tie game, goes for it on 4th and goal at the 2. What'd you think?
Well, you know what? I didn't like the call. I want to put points on the board, but there's twofold. You got to make, you're afraid that the Colts are going to take it down. Plus, you realize that your team's undermanned. That's why you go for it down there. Wrong decision, and then the Colts bring it back. And Manning once again lead the fourth quarter comeback. and an average spike, but a great finish by Peyton.
2-minute drill. He gets the ball in. Colts lead at 31-20. And then the play of the day. Pennington to Leon Washington. He's going to lateral back to Brad Smith.
Nice throw.
Smith to Lavernius Coles, the former quarterback, gets it over to Coles. Coles, he's going to eventually find Pennington, who's still in the play.
He said, I don't want this ball.
He doesn't want any part of that. Speaking of nice throws, cross the field to Justin McCarron's.
Now your heart's in your stomach if you're a Colt.
And people are getting tired at this point. Ball's on the turf.
Cole's back in the mix. He gets hurt on this play, too. Don't know how serious it is.
He flips it out. Nick Mangold winds up, and at that point, it snakes on a plane bad for the Jets. And finally, Jason David scoops it up for the Colts. And that's how they win it. Cole's down on the field. He's hurting a little bit. Stings a little more in the loss as Manning and the Colts get out of there 4-0. 2 Colt wins in the Meadowlands by a combined 8 points this season. With 7 catches, Marvin Harrison passes Andre Reed into 4th place in the career receptions list. And the Colts are 4-0 for the 3rd time in 4 seasons.
This one stings, but at the same time, I know this team. They're a tough bunch of guys. They got a lot of character. And we'll go back and look at the film and make sure we're doing everything to make the corrections to get better, and then see what happens.
I told our team in the locker room we're obviously very fortunate to win. The one good thing I do like about our team is we know how to win, and we play hard for 60 minutes, and we seem to find a way to win these games.
Well, Manning didn't put up rock star numbers, but in that 2-minute drill, he goes 6 of 8, 60 yards. There may not be anybody better in that situation. How much of an advantage is it for Manning and the Colts that he calls his own plays as it is and is used to operating no huddle?
Matty, I think it's a tremendous advantage. You talk about him not rock star numbers, but you know what? In the end, he still gets to walk through the airport and be a rock star. The advantage of Peyton Manning understanding is that while I think he's the only quarterback that could run a game without an offensive coordinator, he just goes in and does it. He knows what he wants to do in rhythm. The old check with me, run to pass. He sees the defense, takes care of it. What he does, though, is his blood pressure goes down when the intensity of that game today went up, and Peyton Manning took care of it. And one thing they discovered, they've been one-dimensional this whole season. Joseph Adai gets 80-plus yards rushing. The rookie from LSU gives them another dimension. But Manning, with Reggie Wayne and with Marvin Harrison, he knows how to distribute the football when the game's on the line. And I can remember when it was 2:20 to go, I said the one thing that the Jets did after returning that kick for a touchdown is they made the mistake of leaving him 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and in the end, he found a way to get it done, as he always does.
Manning also tossed his 250th career touchdown pass. Only Dan Marino did it quicker than he.
And it's not done, trust me.
He's pretty good. That's Sean Salisbury, prolific NFL analyst.
Thank you very much, Matty. Appreciate it.
A lot of big words by you today, Matt.
Do it.
The Cardinals decided to stick with Kurt Warner against the Falcons today, early in the 4th. First Cards' first possession, down 22-10.
Oh boy.
Kurt Warner, fumble. The Falcons would score on the ensuing drive to make it 29-10, so Matt Leinart coming in. Next Cards' possession, Leinart's pass, tipped at the line, picked off by Michael Boley. Leinart 5 of 8, 49 yards, the INT. The Falcons win it 32-10, and the Falcons hold Arizona to just 31 yards on the ground. Vic with his 7th career 100-yard rushing game. Now, Coach Denny Green said after the game, Matt Leinart will start against Kansas City next week. Kurt Warner saying he will do everything he can to help Leinart. So Warner, and obviously those numbers, and you know, Denny Green was saying earlier this week that he was going to stick with Warner. There was some talk about him going with Matt Leinart and barring a change of heart, which he had, but obviously they're going to give the rookie a chance after a somewhat respectable 4th quarter showing.
And Warner leaves the game after a fumble. Then Leinart comes in and he suffers a fumble as well. So they've got the continuity thing going at least. Don't forget, baseball tonight happens at 9 Eastern time, a very special season wrap-up, and of course a look ahead to the playoffs.
To talk a little football and Patriots and Bengals, and I think the Bengals may have found out that there are a few issues that they need to deal with, and we'll take a look at those highlights. Chad Johnson and the Pats hosting Bill Belichick and those Patriots. 2 minutes remain in the 2nd quarter. Pats are up 7-6, and Tom Brady to Doug Gabriel, a 25 wide open touchdown, 14-6 Pats. In the 3rd quarter, Pats have a 1-point lead. Lawrence Moreeeee, the handoff, and what a get he has been for the Patriots. 2nd touchdown of the game for Moreeeee. Pats take a 21-13 lead. They go on to win this behind Moreee's 125 yards on the ground. They outscored the Bengals 24-7 in the second half, and the Patriots put up 424 total yards in this game. Before the game, Chris Henry had been inactive. He was a passenger in Odell Thurman's car on Monday, and the coach decided to suspend him. And obviously, there's been so many distractions prior to the season. They have bled into the season. How much is this affecting this team?
Well, anything that throws your focus off a little bit can always tinker with your focus going into a big game. These are the New England Patriots, but I think that the Bengals have actually had some real football problems that have been showing up on the field. Maybe people have been paying attention because they've been winning. But you take a look even at the first game against the Kansas City Chiefs. The offense wasn't running all cylinders, and the Steelers, even though the Bengals won that game, exposed some things. Bengals had trouble running the football. They had trouble protecting Carson Palmer, and what happened today? The Patriots ran for over 230 yards. Palmer got sacked 4 times. He fumbled twice. So I think they have some football issues to deal with, as well as the problems off the field.
And it was a game that the Patriots certainly needed after Tom Brady was quite upset last week, and you knew that they were going to come back with something this week.
That's correct.
All right, this was also a perfect opportunity for Dante Culpepper and the Dolphins to get something going, facing a winless Texans team that ranks last in the league in total defense. Houston in the 4th, and Mario Williams gets his first sack for a loss of 3 on Dante Culpepper. He got a standing O for that. And then the Dolphins trying to tie with a 2-point conversion, down 17-15. Tip ball by Williams. The Dolphins did try the onside kick, almost recovered, but the Texans finally get a win. Texans coach Gary Kubiak said that he turned away on that 2-point conversion and saying it was pretty cowardly that he turned away. Dante Culpepper, Chris, I mean,
he's getting a little bit better every week, but you just wonder what Nick Saban, the coach of the Dolphins, is going to do. How long is he going to wait before he says, you know what, Joey Harrington needs to play? Yes, Culpepper played better today, but they've been sacked something like, I don't know whether it's 19 or 20 times so far this season. They got sacked all of 27 times last year, and the offensive line personnel wasn't that good. They want Culpepper to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker. It's more than Dante Culpepper, but he is definitely one of the reasons why they have been a big disappointment in the first quarter of the season.
Should this continue, might we see a change at quarterback?
It's possible. You know, they've been giving Dante the same amount of reps in practice, 70% of the reps to 30% for Joey Harrington, but I do believe if they ever feel Culpepper is actually the reason they're losing a football game, that Harrington will get in there.
All right, the Cowboys, if you missed it earlier today, the Titans' Albert Hainsworth stepped on Andre Giroud's head during the game, and afterwards, I mean, basically his comments were saying that he just felt sick about it, that he deserves whatever the league's going to give him. What kind of a suspension might he get?
Well, it'll be interesting because this was severe. As you know, he not only stomped on Giroud's helmet at first, but once the helmet came off, he looked at him, and then 6'5", 6'6", 320 pounds, stomped on his face. I was told anywhere from 24 to 30 stitches to close 7 wounds would represent the cleat marks and what have you. Yes, Hainsworth was contrite, but he's been in trouble before. I think the league comes down hard on him. I don't know if that means 2 games, 4 games, half a year. I'm not sure what, but I know this much. It's going to be severe. And Jeff Fisher is co-chairman of the competition committee, and he may do something. The league may say, you do something first, and we'll approve it or we'll extend it. But certainly there's going to be some severe sanction here.
Yeah, Jeff Fisher actually did say that he would come down hard on him depending on what the league did. Right. All right, Chris Mortensen, thanks for the insight.
Thanks, Michelle.
Matt.
Michelle, Drew Brees, Mark Brunell, Mark Bolger, all productive passers this NFL Sunday. Boy, Brees, that shoulder looks fine, doesn't it? Mark Brunell getting it done against his old team, 329 yards and 3 touchdowns, but was it enough for a victory? The answer is next.
Jags and Redskins pick it up in the 4th quarter. Jags down 27-17. Byron Leftwich to Reggie Williams, who gets his helmet popped off by 2 defenders, but it's a 21-yard touchdown. Later in the 4th, Jags get the ball back, trailing 30-27. Leftwich to Ernest Wolford. Jags still alive, time running out. 41-yard field goal by Josh Scobie. Tie game at 30. Headed to overtime in OT. Mark Brunell to Santana Moss, who had a heck of a game, slips a tackle, and he's gone. 68-yard touchdown for the Redskins. They win it 36-30 in overtime. They had 481 yards of total offense. Santana Moss with 4 receptions, 138 yards, 3 TDs, his first coming this season, and Clinton Portis with 112 yards on the ground. All right, we are out of time. Coming up next on ESPN, Major League Baseball special, Hometown Heroes.
Don't forget at 9 Eastern time, a Baseball Tonight special to wrap up the entire 2006 regular season. Look ahead to the postseason. ESPN News is always on. They'll get to the highlights of that Lions-Rams finish in St. Louis. We'll see you next time.
Monday Night Football crew as we look ahead to Eagles and Packers. First, we look back to Sunday's NFL games with Chris Berman and Tom Jackson. They have our first installment of the Blitz.
Welcome to the Blitz for Week 4 in the NFL. I'm Chris Berman along with Tom Jackson. Thank you. And we had 7 undefeated teams going in, but we're going to get to that. There's this other matter in Dallas. There was a wide receiver there that had a different week.
I've heard.
You've heard? And would he play? Yes, he was going to start. That was announced before the game at Tennessee. How did the Cowboys do with all the distractions, T.O., during the week? Let's go from Nashville and Terrell Owens. What broken finger? Vince Young, hey, I'm the starter now for Tennessee. So lots to watch in this game. Drew Bledsoe down 3-0, floats to Terry Glenn. And is he becoming, that's not a word, becoming again a touchdown machine, 7-3. Bledsoe, Terrell Owens, both Owens and Glenn caught 5. So there's a 20-yard reception to T.O. Later, Bledsoe to Terry Glenn, and plenty of time. Nice catch at the back of the end zone, 14-3, Dallas over the Titans. Later in the second quarter, Bledsoe floats to T.O. Nice pass, nice catch, 46-yard completion. Later in the drive, 2 minutes to go. Bledsoe to T.O. in the end zone. Touchdown, but wait a minute. They take another look.
You know, it looks like a great grab, and actually you almost can't tell if his arm isn't up under the football, but the refs ruled that the ball hit the ground. Call was overruled.
And so Mike Vanderjagt with a chip shot, 26 yards. Doink! Boy, is he really struggling. You think the coach...
Yeah, I don't think he's feeling real good about the kicker.
Not at all. So that was Dallas' story. Vince Young's story. We've seen him in the first few games play some series, but now you know he can do this. Whoop! Little scramble, little dipsy doodle. Hey, where's the line of scrimmage? Let's at least get back to maybe a +1 on the play. Then Young. But he's looking, Tom, and how many white shirts are there for?
Well, you know, a young rookie quarterback, he's going to stare down his receivers. Big mistake there, Boone.
Holds onto the ball, but the little fat, even though he's mercurial, we know that. All the guys are fast in the pros, aren't they, Tom? He loses 5 on the play. So it's a 14-6 game. Tennessee's still in it, but Julius Jones, 5 yards, 21-6. And while the score, Albert Hainsworth, watch what he does. Defensive tackle Tennessee rips a helmet off of Andre Garrod, and then this is unbelievable. Steps right here.
Gets worse.
On his head, not helmet, head. Which is just despicable. He doesn't understand what the problem is. Jeff Fisher says, I understand what the problem is. You've been booted from the game, and more on this later. You're going to be booted a lot more. And this is Garrod with a couple dozen stitches in his head. So with the kickoff, 2 15-yard penalties, this is like a lag putt, right? Right? Just get it close to the hole. Pac-Man, not much going. So Young figures we're down 31-14, but let's see if we can get something to happen. Throwing off the back foot right to Brady James. Cowboys, gone. Cowboys win it 45-14. T.O. pumped. Jerry Jones pumped. And the Cowboys, after a bye and a week of work that they won't forget, going to Tennessee, clearly struggling at 0-4, and the Cowboys win it 45-14. A week of big distraction, you betcha. Ed Werder in Nashville says Dallas came out big D.
On game day, the day when teammates and coaches like Terrell Owens the most, the controversial Cowboys receiver produced something more than distractions. Somehow the Cowboys culminated a week of upheaval with enough focus to score 45 points in an easy victory.
Getting the knocked out of you, you stay focused.
So what's your initial?
Or you get starched, one of the two.
If anything, our focus was heightened because of all the stuff that was circling around.
I've been through this, time and time again. I just feel blessed and thank God for giving me another opportunity to come out here and play football on Sunday. Regardless of all the critics, everybody's speculating. It doesn't bother me.
And neither Owens insisted that the fractured right hand that was surgically repaired just 13 days before. Wearing a plastic shield as protection under his glove, Owens did drop a pass in the end zone, his second of the season, but he included a big play among the 5 balls he did catch.
It didn't bother me. I'm not worried about it. I think everybody else is worried about the hand. I felt like, I exceeded everybody's expectations.
Ultimate respect for Owens came in an unusual request after the game. Titans cornerback Pac-Man Jones asked Owens for his cleats. Owens complied and then later said, quote, "He'd better put tissues in those. Those are some pretty big shoes to fill." In Nashville, I'm Ed Werder, ESPN.
When you play football, Tom,
Yes.
he's an outstanding receiver and
doubt.
part of a very good team. Things go well when it happens. But now, overall, Dallas, kudos, as Ed reported, to getting their head together to get a win during all this. But this can't be all the time. It can't be.
I want to talk about things other than T.O. Let's begin with Coach Parcells. I thought that he did an outstanding job of kind of distancing himself and his football team from whatever went on this week. A lot of the answers were, I really don't know what's going on, and I think that it was a way of keeping his team focused on the task at hand. Next is Terry Glenn. Terry Glenn, in the midst of all of this hoopla about T.O., is having an outstanding all-pro year thus far. So let's watch that instead of watching for T.O. and, what's happening to him on and off the field all the time. So I think that if we get to that. Now, what's next? No one knows what's next. I know that we're getting ready to play Philly. It was a potential circus a couple of weeks ago. Maybe it's going to be a bigger circus, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, we said it in the morning on Sunday Countdown. As a human being, I'm concerned about what might happen this week. Maybe nothing.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about what we might see from Dallas, you know what I mean, from T.O., whatever, this week, as he's been pointing toward this game all along with Philadelphia. Now, after the game, Jeff Fisher went up to Bill Parcells and apologized on behalf of the whole Titans organization, said, I don't know what the league has in mind for suspension, but I'm going to come down heavy and punish Albert Hainsworth because, Tom, you played in the league for a long time. Can't have that.
Albert Hainsworth needs to spend a good deal of time away from football. I don't know what the league is going to decide. I don't know what, Jeff Fisher is going to decide. But I think that they're both on the right track. Whether it's 4 weeks, 6 weeks, the season, I don't care. If you think about what he did at 6'6", 320 pounds, if he had stepped on, the player just right, if he had caught him just right, we might have a much worse situation tonight. You're not out there trying to kill somebody. Understand it. The league, Jeff Fisher, need to make him understand it.
Well, that will happen. Maybe both will weigh in heavily. I think they will. You're watching The Blitz on SportsCenter. We've just begun it.
The Blitz is brought to you by Nike.
Well, you won't find Albert Hainsworth disagreeing with anybody handing out criticism over his old tap dance on Gerard's head. Former #1 pick out of Tennessee says he deserves whatever fine or suspension comes his way in postgame. Mea culpas from Hainsworth.
I'm very sorry. I apologize to Andre. What I did was disgusting. It was I don't know, it's just something that should never happen. I'm not a dirty player. I don't play dirty. I have respect for the game, and what I feel like is I disgrace the game, disgrace my team, and disgrace my last name. When I was sitting in here in the locker room while the game was going on, I was looking at my phone, which got my kids on it, and I don't want them to have my last name and to think their dad was actually, a dirty player, because I don't play that way.
Gerard took 30 stitches to his forehead and below his eye. On top of that, he complained of blurry vision and did not return to the game. He said, quote, I'd never been kicked in the face like this, and I've never seen anybody kick anybody else in the face. Plenty more from Week 4 next. Did no Sean Alexander mean no win for Seattle in Chicago? A wild finish between the Colts and the Jets. And was there a Meadowlands miracle there? Boomer and TJ will blitz back next. The race for the Cup continues in Kansas, who hurt his championship chances on Sunday, and while running out of gas didn't matter to Tony Stewart. And the hunt for October. Seahawks and Bears Sunday night, a clash for the class of the NFC. Sean Alexander, foot injury, not playing. That will handicap the Seattle team. First quarter, Rex Grossman. For the Bears, Musha Muhammad, 7-3 in favor of Chicago. Bear down, Chicago Bears. They got a passing game. They also have a defense. Matt Hasselbeck picked by Ricky Manning Jr. And you threw it, you go get him. Down, leads to a Bears field goal. Later in the second quarter, Seahawks down 13-3, 3rd and 15. Hasselbeck avoiding the rush. Can't avoid Ricky Manning Jr. Oh, Ricky!
Oh, yeah, tip drill to his own personal self. He'd return that for a touchdown. They'd call it back. Bears would eventually score anyway. Thomas Jones gets in the end zone. Then Grossman up top to Bernard Berrien. Third touchdown of more than 40 yards already on this year for the Bears. They win 37-6. George Smith, State Farm Road coverage from the Windy City with Ricky Manning Jr.
Why do you think the defense was so dominant tonight?
Well, we just played good tonight. Things went our way. We was hustling and putting pressure on Hasselback, which is going to be a big key in this game. And we were prepared for this game. We was prepared well, and the coach did a good job in getting us prepared.
How surprised were you by the dominance?
I was a little surprised because that team on the other sidelines is a pretty good team, and we can pat our back because we beat a pretty good team. We beat them pretty good. And we just got to keep going from here and just keep getting better.
Final thing, how good can this team be?
It can be a great team. We definitely got potential to go all the way. That's what we're shooting for. But you never know what happens in the league, so we got to take it game by game, and just hopefully we can win it and we get where we want to get in the Super Bowl.
Road coverage, driven by State Farm. Great service and great rates. You can get it all from State Farm.
Saints-Panthers, Steve Smith, how's your hammy? How about 10 receptions, 87 yards when he put his uniform on? Second quarter, Panthers up 7-0. Reggie Bush had 48 receiving yards, but only had 22 yards rushing on 11 carries. Saints would kick a field goal at the end of that drive. Fourth quarter, Panthers in a tight one, 14-10. Deshaun Foster, 16 carries, 105. Panthers, 21-10. The best hit of the day by the Panthers, maybe from Keyshawn Johnson. Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, another blitz, please.
Welcome back to the Blitz, everybody. Peyton Manning and the Colts, 3-0, certainly not new. They were 13-0 last year, against the upstart New York Jets, who at 2-1, along with the Rams, are the most surprising. Saints were unbeaten, but the 2-1 teams with new coaches really raising some eyebrows. Would they be good enough to hang with the Colts? Here we go, somewhere in the swamps of Jersey, the Meadowlands, where Eric Mangini's Jets were trying to slay the mighty Colts. Peyton Manning and the Colts said, wait a minute, try and stop us. And they scored the ball on rushing touchdowns. This is Dominic Rhodes, 6 yards, 7-0 Colts. Chad Pennington, though, playing so well to Jericho Cotchery. They love him. Why? Get out of my way with the stiff arm. And Antoine Bethea said, uh-oh, I can't handle you. It's 7-7. Mike Cat Scratch Fever Nugent with an onside kick. Kerry Rhodes makes the recovery. Jets pulling out all the stops early in the second quarter. That's one of the best specialty men in the business. That's coach Mike Westhoff for Eric Mangini. For years, Westhoff was Don Shula's special team coach. And then on 4th and 1, Brad Smith at quarterback. He optioned it to Leon Washington. So the Jets taking risks, and it pays off. Kevin Barlow, touchdown, 14-7, Jet. Reggie Wayne still mourning the loss of his brother. A week ago, a tragic auto accident, playing and making a big contribution. Reggie, tough, 41 yards. Then Joseph Adai, they're running.
This was something they used to not be able to do. Get into the red zone, run the ball into the end zone. I know it's something that the coaching staff has wanted to do for a long time. Pennington
to Lavernius Coles. Do you know that in the first 3 games, Lavernius Coles caught balls for more yards than any Jet receiver since Don Maynard in 1968? Pennington on 4th and goal. Instead of the field goal, he's picked off by Rocky Boyman. So they gamble again. This time it doesn't pay off with the score tied at 14. Now the Jets trail 17-14. Pennington to Lavernius Coles. 11 minutes left in the game. Gain of 10. Later in the drive, Kevin Barlow from the 5. Wow. In the end zone.